Ashamed millionaire's secret life exposed. Wife's unexpected reveal changes everything. The headline blared across the screens in Maplewood, a small town nestled between amber fields and sparkling streams. Tom Bennett, the beloved mechanic with grease-stained hands and an honest smile, had become a small-town sensation overnight. They said he was a millionaire, a fortune inherited from a distant uncle he barely knew. It sent shockwaves through the town, shaking the very foundations of a community that prided itself on hard work and humility. Tom had always cherished simple things: the rumble of an engine, the laughter of kids he mentored, and the shared meals with his wife, Lucy, at the local shelter. But the moment that news broke, he felt the warmth of those bonds slip away. The whispers began almost immediately, a hushed glee filled with wonder and envy. Suddenly, Tom wasn't just a mechanic. He was the rich guy, the one who'd outgrown his blue-collar roots. Friends turned to acquaintances. Neighbors cast sideways glances. A class divide unraveled, threatening to engulf their close-knit network. At home, Lucy felt the changes too. Tom's easy demeanor was taut with uncertainty. Shadows lurked behind his bright eyes. She once reveled in her simple joys: painting, volunteering, and the laughter of children, but now, as she navigated cocktail parties filled with people who talked of vacations and investments, her heart ached. She knew the value of their shared sacrifices. Her hands, once soft from paint and brushes, now felt roughened by weariness. Little did Tom know, Lucy was harboring her own secret, a hidden longing that had festered over the years. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The emotional tipping point arrived on a quiet evening as they sat together, files and census reports scattered across the table. Lucy swallowed hard, her voice trembling. Tom, before I became your support, I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to paint, create. I gave it up for us. The confession hung in the air, heavy and painful. Tom's heart raced as he absorbed her words, anger rising from the depths of misplaced guilt. Their love, which had flourished in trust and shared dreams, now felt compromised, fraying at the edges. In the days that followed, the annual charity gala approached, and local eyes bore down like a storm. Tom wrestled with fear and hope. Could he really bridge these divides? He found courage in a tear-stained letter from a teenager they had once mentored, asking for guidance amid swirling discontent. That letter stirred fire back into Tom's heart, a call to action. But as whispers intensified and a new scandal threatened to expose the intricacies of his fortune, he looked at Lucy, their hands brushing lightly beneath the table. "We can't let this tear us apart," he whispered, determination igniting in his chest. They stood together at the threshold of the gala, the town buzzing with anticipation around them, whispers of judgment chasing them as shadows. Tom and Lucy locked eyes, hearts racing. Could they restore their bond amid chaos? Or would they lose everything they built? The night was thick with uncertainty, yet they breathed deep, ready to face their uncharted future together. The gala was a kaleidoscope of sparkling gowns, crisp tuxedos, and the murmur of expectation. Tom and Lucy stepped into the ballroom, and the atmosphere shifted. Conversation stuttered, eyes turned. The familiar warmth of their town felt cold against the new narrative surrounding them. Tom squeezed Lucy's hand, anchoring them both. "No matter what, we'll face this together," he whispered, feeling the weight of so many gazes. The grand chandeliers above glittered like stars, their light contrasting the shadow of rumors lurking in the corners. As they moved through the crowd, Tom could feel the tension. Old friends turned into strangers. A group of men in tailored suits stood nearby, their laughter sharp, tinged with envy. "Did you see the way he walked in, all high and mighty?" one scoffed, eliciting snickers from his friends. Tom clenched his jaw, heat rising to his cheeks. Lucy caught his eye, her expression a mix of concern and resolve. They had come to this gala not just to show their faces, but to reclaim their place in the community. Yet with every passing moment, every sideways glance, it felt as if the illusion of solidarity they'd built was further unraveling. "Lucy!" a familiar voice called out. It was Sarah, the local art teacher, and an old friend. There was a hint of warmth in her voice, a reminder of the life they once shared. "I've missed you!" She opened her arms for an embrace, and Lucy stepped forward, her smile genuine. "I've missed you too, Sarah," Lucy replied, the tension in her shoulders easing slightly. But Sarah's eyes flickered to Tom, and Lucy sensed the unasked questions. "Nice to see you, Tom," Sarah said, the words light but the underlying tension evident. "Good to see you too," he replied, trying to match the friendly tone, though the unease knotted in his stomach. As conversations flowed around them, Tom felt the fight rising within him. This evening was not about wealth, it was about community. He knew he needed to say something, to reach out beyond the misunderstanding. As the gala SMC took to the stage, his heart raced with purpose. "Ladies and gentlemen," the MC's voice boomed through the space, drawing everyone's attention. "Let us welcome our guest of honor, Tom Bennett." A collective gasp rippled across the room. Tom felt every eye on him, the heat warming his skin. He glanced at Lucy, who nodded encouragingly. Taking a deep breath, he stepped forward. "Thank you," he started, his voice steady despite the tremors in his stomach. "I know there are a lot of questions and maybe even judgments about what my fortune means. But I want you to know I'm still the same Tom, the mechanic who loves fixing engines and mentoring kids." He paused, searching the crowd. "This money, it's just paper. What truly matters are the people around us. Our joy comes from helping others, sharing moments and laughter, not fame or fortune." A moment of silence hung in the air, then murmurs began to rise. Some faces softened, while others remained skeptical. He could feel the mixed reactions swirling around him, but there was an undeniable spark of connection in the room, a chance to rewrite the narrative. And then, just as hope flickered in his heart, a voice cut through. "But what about the rumors? Are you really as generous as you claim?" A voice from the back, sharp and accusatory. The murmurs grew louder, questions blooming like weeds. Tom's chest tightened, and he looked urgently at Lucy. As they faced the crowd, a chilling doubt crept in. Would their shared resolve hold against the relentless tide of speculation? Tom took a step closer to Lucy, ready to confront the chaos threatening their unity. "Lucy, we will find a way through this, won't we?" But amidst the chaos and rising challenges, would their bond withstand the storm that was gathering? Tom's pulse thudded in his ears like a distant drum, each beat echoing the questions left unspoken. The tension in the room thickened, a palpable mixture of skepticism and curiosity. He stole another glance at Lucy, whose face was a mix of determination and anxiety. She squeezed his hand tighter, as if sharing her strength, grounding him amidst the chaos. "Let me be clear," Tom said, his voice rising above the murmurs. "I didn't ask for this money, nor do I expect it to change who I am. I'm just a guy who wants to give back to our community." The crowd shifted, a collective breath in anticipation. Some faces softened, others hardened. But the doubt hung thick in the air, daring him to prove his sincerity. "Tom!" shouted a man from the back, an old acquaintance Tom had always found unbearable. "If you're so generous, why don't you share your plans? What are you really doing with all that cash?" The whispered murmurs grew, a tide of doubt crashing down on them. "Yeah. Start with the charity work. What are you really funding?" It was another voice, sharp and accusative. Tom felt the heat flood his cheeks once more. He took a breath, trying to summon the confidence that felt like it was slipping through his fingers. "I'm starting a community center, a safe space for kids. For studying, mentoring, things I believe in." A ripple passed through the crowd. Some nodded, but others crossed their arms with skepticism. Was that the best he could do? He could sense Lucy's quiet encouragement behind him, her unwavering belief feeding his resolve. Yet doubt weighed heavily on him like a cloak of lead. "Do you even have a plan?" came the same voice, barbed and ready to cut. Tom's heart sank. Was this how it would feel, to stand in the very town he had grown up in and yet feels so far from home? Of course I do. He leaned in, pouring out his heart. I want to provide scholarships for those who need it, support local businesses, and organize teach-in events, things that bring us all together. This isn't about me, this is about us. The words hung there, suspended between hope and fear. Would it be enough? Suddenly, Lucy stepped beside him, her presence a beacon. You know him, she said, her voice ringing clear and strong. You know Tom as a person, not just as a millionaire. He has always cared about this town. Let us not forget how he has volunteered at the school. He has mentored students for years. He has done so much already. Her face was lit by determination, fire in her eyes as she rallied their friends. Whispered conversations broke out, laughter, and the familiar warmth of camaraderie began to reemerge, a flicker of what they had once shared. But the naysayers were relentless. What if he is just trying to buy his way back into our hearts? Someone shouted, disbelief laced within. The weight of the crowd's judgment pressed down again. Tom looked into Lucy's eyes, and in that moment, he recognized her silent strength, her unyielding belief in the goodness of others. What if I am? He called out, meeting the crowd's piercing gazes. Maybe I am trying to buy my way back, but isn't that worth something? The true measure of a person isn't just how they face success, but how they embrace their failures. An eerie silence enveloped the room. Tom took a deep breath, feeling the stirrings of something deeper within him, a fierce passion for change, for not just himself but for a community grappling with its own identity fractures. Would they accept him if he openly revealed his insecurities, sharing the truth of who he was? Maybe I can't fix everything, he added, voice a little softer, but I promise that I'll try. Not just with money, but with my heart, my time, and my soul. But as he spoke, a soft murmuring grew, pulling their attention away. The MC was back on stage, desperately trying to regain control, but another voice, cutting through the now quieted crowd, began to rise. Tom, wait! There's something you need to know. His heart raced as he turned to face the source of the voice. Who would dare interrupt now? What truth could shift this already tense moment even further? The collective gasp from the crowd was like a sudden gust of wind, rolling through the room and leaving a chill in its wake. Tom felt the insistence of that voice, a weight that pressed heavily on his chest. His heart raced as he scanned the room, eyes darting from face to face, searching for the speaker. Finally, he locked eyes with a woman standing near the back, an old friend from high school, Janet. It was almost comical, anxiety knitting her brow, yet determination blazing in her eyes. Tom, you don't know this, but her voice trembled, almost caught in the web of disbelief. What? He called out, feeling the sudden need to rally the crowd to her side. What is it? Janet took a deep breath, her cheeks flushed, and despite her fear, she stepped closer to the stage. Your wife, she has been in town, Tom. She has been asking around about you. Silence settled but for the low murmurs that followed. Tom's heart dropped. Sophia. His mind raced back to the weary days of their marriage, the decisions he'd made to chase success while neglecting the bonds that mattered most, the chains of guilt that still held him captive. Why is that relevant? Someone shouted from the crowd, eager to know more. They shifted, leaning forward like they were about to witness the unfolding of a gripping novel. Janet continued, because she is not just asking about you, she is looking for answers. And I think she has found something. Tom felt his stomach twist. Memories flooded in arguments, cold silences, the day she packed her bags and walked out. They'd both agreed to separate, but the conversations that came after had left unresolved tensions swirling between them. What does she want? She says she wants to talk, Janet replied, her voice steadying, as the audience adjusted to the shock of the revelation. And the last thing she said, it shook me. She is worried, Tom. About you, about this money, about everything. A buzzing energy crackled through the room, uncertain but alive. Voices rose again, questions trailing off into a slew of speculation. What does she mean? Why now? Lucy nudged Tom gently with her elbow, concern etched on her face. Do you want to confront this? Do you want to know what she's really saying? Tom felt torn. That familiar urge to run deepened. Sophia had always had a way of bringing his insecurities bubbling to the surface. His need for acceptance battled with the fear of what she might expose. I don't know. Tom, Janet called again, her voice cutting through the noise. It's important. You deserve to know. He felt all eyes on him, the weight of judgment and expectation heavy in the air. Would they see him differently once they learned of his past? Would they pity him, or offer him redemption? In that moment, he understood that burying the truth wouldn't change any of it. This was not just about rebuilding trust with his community, or with himself, but also about confronting the ghosts of his life. I'll talk to her, he announced, surprising even himself. I owe it to her and to all of you. The crowd's murmur turned into a buzz of excitement and disbelief. He felt a shiver run up his spine, reconnecting with the crowd he had fought so hard to reach. As he turned to Lucy, he saw her eyes glinting with a mix of pride and concern. Are you sure? She whispered, squeezing his hand again. Tom nodded, feeling that fierce determination flare within him once more. I'll do whatever it takes. But first, I need to find out what Sophia wants to say. And just as he managed a confident smile, the lights flickered, plunging the room into darkness. Gasps erupted around him, confusion spilling over like a wave. A moment later the lights came back up, but not before he noticed a shadow coming from the back. Someone approached the stage, their silhouette undeniably familiar. Tom's heart dropped as a voice rang out once again. I'm here to speak for her. His breath hitched. Would this conversation open old wounds, or could it lead to healing both for him and for the community he loved? As the figure moved closer, the truth hung in the air, pregnant with possibility. What would they reveal, and would it change everything he believed about redemption? The figure stepped into the flickering light, and Tom's heart clenched tighter. It was Adam, Sophia's brother. The familiar contours of his face, the gentle but firm set of his mouth, were unsettling. Adam had always been their family's anchor, the one unafraid to speak uncomfortable truths. And that made Tom's skin prickle with unease. Tom, Adam called out, his voice steady but edged with urgency. We need to talk. It's about Sophia, and something much bigger. Every eye in the room now turned to Tom, their expectations palpable. The weight of the moment pressed against him as the crowd, once enthusiastic, had transformed into a sea of curiosity and apprehension. They wanted answers, just as he did. Why now? Tom forced the question out, his throat tight. Why didn't she come herself? Adam swallowed hard. Because she's afraid. She's dealing with something that could affect you both. It's serious. He took a step closer, a mixture of determination and compassion in his gaze. She doesn't know how to face it alone. Unease fluttered in Tom's stomach like a trapped bird. What do you mean? What happened? Adam hesitated, his eyes darting to the crowd, then back to Tom. She's been diagnosed with a condition, something that could change everything. The words hit Tom like a punch. The crowd held its breath. What? What kind of condition? He asked, his voice strained. The shock in his heart twisted into dread. He felt the stadium's energy shift, moving into a realm he wasn't prepared to handle. Cancer. Adam's voice fell like a stone, heavy and certain. It's early stages, but she needs support, Tom. She reached out to you to talk, to sort things out, because she wants to face this together. The room erupted into whispers, the hum of disbelief buzzing around him. Tom's mind scrambled through the memories they shared, the laughter, the pain, the love that had flickered and dimmed over time. Now, she stood on the brink of something far more terrifying than heartache or separation. Why didn't you tell her to reach out to me? Tom felt the anger rising, mixing with confusion. Why keep this from me? Because she was scared of what you might think, Adam replied sharply. What you might do? She's afraid of losing you again, Tom. But this is different. We can't let the past swallow her whole. We need to face this together. He could feel Lucy's hand clutching his tightly, grounding him. Her gaze held a mixture of empathy and fear, as if the weight of Tom's pain was spilling into her heart as well. You have to make a choice, she murmured, low enough for only him to hear. You can't run from her now. This is it. Tom's breath hitched as he looked deep into Adam's earnest eyes. So what do I do? How do I help her? Stop running, Tom, Adam replied. Reach out to her. Be the man she thought you could be. And suddenly Tom understood. This was more than a second chance. It was an opportunity for redemption, for the both of them. The path wouldn't be easy, but if he could face the possibility of losing her, perhaps he could reclaim the parts of himself that had been lost along the way. As he considered his next step, the lights flickered again, casting shadows that danced ominously. Each heartbeat echoed in the silence, like a countdown to a decision that could change everything. What if this conversation led him to not only face his past but also rewrite their future? Would he gather the strength to reach out, or would fear take him back into the darkness he fought so hard to escape? Tom looked toward Adam, determination flickering like a fire rekindled in his chest. I'll find her. I won't let the shadows keep us apart anymore. And even as the murmurs of the crowd faded to stillness, the fear pulsed in his veins. But deep down, hope flickered too. What awaited him when he reached for Sophia? Would she be willing to fight alongside him, or was it already too late? The room felt both vast and suffocating as Tom turned away from Adam, his mind racing. Each thought screamed louder than the last, mixed with the fear of losing Sophia and the flickering hope that he might still have a chance to stand with her. He pushed through the crowd, moving with urgency, desperate to escape the weighty stares that latched onto him. The world outside the stadium was a stark contrast. The cool night air brushed against his face, refreshing yet stinging, awakening every nerve in his body. Tom took a deep breath, his heart pounding like a drum. He slid his phone from his pocket, the screen lighting up his anxious face. He hesitated, fingers trembling over the dial pad. Could she even talk to him? What words could bridge the chasm of hurt and fear that had grown like a shadow between them? His thumb hovered over her name, memories flooding in. The laughter shared over late-night pizza, the quiet moments of understanding, and the explosive arguments that had haunted their past. What had he done to her? How could he have walked away when she needed him most? Self-doubt sank its claws into him, but with it came a wave of determination. He wouldn't let fear win this time. Tom pressed the call button. The ringing echoed in his ears, each tone feeling loaded with unspoken words. Panic flooded him. What if she didn't answer? Would she even want to hear from him? But just as he was about to hang up, her voice came through, bright and beautiful, yet tinged with uncertainty. Tom? Is that you? Hearing her voice sent a jolt through him. The warmth wrapped around his heart, a reminder of why he had to fight for her. Sophia. I heard. Adam told me everything. His voice cracked and he cursed himself for showing weakness. I'm so sorry. There was a pause, a moment so heavy it blurred time. He could picture her face worn but fierce. I didn't want you to know like this, Sophia finally replied. The tenderness in her tone broke him a little. I thought you were gone for good. No, I'm still here. He took a step forward, clenching his fists at his sides. I want to be here for you. I want to help you through this. He heard her take a shaky breath, and a silence stretched between them, filled with tangled emotions. You don't have to. You don't owe me anything, Tom. Her words cut deep, and he shook his head, even though she couldn't see him. But I want to be there. This isn't just about the past, it's about right now. I can't bear the thought of you fighting this alone. You're stronger than I ever knew, but everyone needs a hand at some point. I'm scared, she whispered, and it shattered him. Me too. The honesty slipped out before he had time to draw back. But if we face this together, it won't just be about surviving, Sophia. We can find a way to thrive. I refuse to let this sickness take you away from me. I'll fight beside you. He held his breath, waiting for her response. Finally it came, hesitant but hopeful. What if I'm not the person you remember? No, he insisted. You're still you. You're more than that. No matter what happens, you have to believe that we can get through this. He could hear her breathing on the other end, shaky but gaining strength. Okay, Tom. I'll let you in. Just promise you'll stay. I promise. Though the darkness still lingered, a glimmer of hope flickered brightly ahead. When can I see you? He asked. Soon. I need to figure out some things first. A knot formed in Tom's stomach. Sophia, don't shut me out. I can be there tomorrow. Let me call you later, okay? All right. But just remember, he replied, hoping to plant a seed of courage, you're not alone in this fight. We're a team. As they ended the call, an unfamiliar mix of fear and hope swirled inside him. He gazed up at the stars dotting the sky, feeling small yet determined. He would not let this be the end. But would Sophia really let him back in, and could they overcome the silent battles that loomed before them? He couldn't shake the feeling that this fight was just beginning. What would it take for them to truly stand together? The next morning arrived quietly, a soft light spilling through Tom's window, illuminating the chaos of emotions inside him. He could hardly think straight. Sophia had opened a door, and now he was caught between hope and uncertainty. He needed a plan. He wanted to be there for her, to show her she wasn't alone, but what if she pushed him away again? He took a shower, letting the water wash over him, trying to scrub away the stress that had accumulated in his mind. As he lathered his hair, he remembered the sound of her voice, how fragile but alive it had felt. After dressing, he hopped into his car, the engine rumbling to life as he drove toward her apartment. This was a leap. A leap of faith in every sense. The streets weren't even busy yet, a gentle chill lingering in the air. He zipped through the familiar roads, those same paths they'd traveled as friends and lovers. The sun rose higher, warming the day while doubt brushed against his thoughts. What if she was still angry? What if she didn't want to see him? Pushing the worries aside, he parked outside her building, taking a moment to steady his breath. Tom approached the entrance, heart thumping louder with each step. The familiar smell of coffee wafted up the stairs. He inhaled deeply, grounding himself. Just as he raised his hand to knock, the door swung open. Sophia stood there, her hair slightly messy, eyes puffy from what he presumed was a restless night. But her eyes lit up when they locked onto his, and for a fleeting moment, it felt like the world had melted away. Tom? She asked, surprise dripping from her voice. Can I come in? He asked, trying to keep his tone steady, though his hands felt clammy. Yeah, please. She stepped aside, allowing him entry. Inside, the ambience was tense yet familiar. He would have given anything to see her smile, but there was a heaviness hanging in the air, underscored by an aching vulnerability he could feel radiating from her. Tom shifted nervously in the small living room, glancing around. I brought you something. He pulled out a bag from the local bakery, the faint scent of cinnamon spiraling into the air. I thought we could have breakfast together. Sophia's eyes softened slightly as she accepted the offering. That was thoughtful, thank you. They sat across from one another at her small table. The food was delicious, but the silence was thicker than any fog. Small movements echoed in the stillness, the crinkle of the paper bag, the clinking of forks against plates. After a few bites, Tom finally broke the ice. Sophia, I know this is hard. I'm not here to pretend everything's okay when it's not. I want to talk about what happened. About everything. I don't know if I'm ready for that, she whispered, head down. Please, he urged, leaning forward. I want to understand. We can face whatever this is together. Sophia took a deep breath, her fingers tracing the edge of her plate. It's just, I feel like I've lost so much. The person I was, the person you knew. You're still here, he insisted gently. What matters is who you are now. We can figure this out. She met his eyes, and in that moment, Tom saw the battle raging within her. Deep down, he hoped she would choose to let him in. What if I let you in, and it's too much for you? She finally asked, her voice trembling. That's a risk I'm willing to take, he replied, heart pounding. What we had, it matters to me. You matter to me. Tears shimmered in her eyes, and that flicker of vulnerability she held began to crack. I don't want to be a burden, then let me help you lighten the load, he said, coming closer. Let us just take this one step at a time. The air was charged, and for the first time, he could see a flicker of hope mirrored in her gaze. But just before she could respond, the sudden sound of her phone ringing pierced through the moment, breaking the fragile connection they had started to rebuild. They both turned to the device, and the name on display sent a pang through Sophia's expression. Tom could sense the shift. Something shifted in the room, heavy and foreboding. It's Adam, she said, a blush creeping up her cheeks. But it wasn't embarrassment, it was something else. Tom's heart sank, a new wave of tension flooding in. Would this call bring them closer together or tear them apart again? As she reached for the phone, Tom held his breath, knowing neither of them could predict what this call would reveal or how it would change the course of their fragile reconnection. Would it be the bridge they needed, or a wall they couldn't break down? With each ring, uncertainty twisted deep within him. Would Adam's presence alter everything once more? Tom's heart raced as Sophia's finger hovered over the screen. The phone rang again, each tone echoing louder than the last in the silence that almost felt like a scream. Sophia's expression shifted, a mix of fear and apprehension danced across her features. Are you going to answer it? Tom asked, the words barely escaping his lips, as if he were afraid of the answer. I just need a moment, she replied, biting her lip, caught between duty and desire. Tom could feel the air get thicker. There was an unspoken weight betraying the connection they had just begun to revitalize. Adam's name hung in the room like a dark cloud. For a fleeting second, Tom wondered if Adam was the person that had pushed her away in the first place. There had to be a reason for her silences, her reluctance. Sophia reluctantly tapped the answer button. Hey, Adam, she said softly, voice barely above a whisper. Tom watched her closely. Inflections painted the air with worry. She turned away slightly, placing a hand over her mouth, a gesture that indicated just how much she didn't want to say what was on her mind. Yeah, I'm okay. He could only hear her side of the conversation, but every word tugged at him like an unseen thread. Can I talk to you later? It's a bit complicated. He wanted to reach out and touch her shoulder, offer a reassuring smile, remind her that he was right there. But every passing second felt like an eternity as her hand trembled. Okay, her voice grew weaker, almost resigned. I'll see you then. When she ended the call and set the phone down, the air felt charged with a different kind of energy, painful and unresolved. Who was that? Tom finally asked, searching her eyes for the truth. It was Adam, my husband. The words stumbled out of her mouth, heavy and laden with unspoken stories. Tom drew himself up in his chair, surprise cutting him deep. Your husband? He echoed, trying to process the revelation crashing over him like a wave. She nodded, the weight of her confession hanging heavily between them. We're separated, but it's complicated. We still talk. I didn't want you to find out like this. Why didn't you tell me sooner? He couldn't keep the hurt out of his voice. We just shared a moment, and now you drop this on me? How am I supposed to react? Sophia's eyes filled with tears. I was scared, Tom. Scared of what this would mean for us and for you. I didn't want to pull you into my mess. Tom took a slow breath. This was more complicated than he had imagined. The emotions surged in him: frustration, sadness, a pang of betrayal. But beneath that turmoil was also a desire to help her, to reassure her amidst the chaos. He leaned forward, searching her gaze. Sophia, this changes things. I want to support you. I really do. But we need to be honest about where we stand. That's what I'm trying to do, she whispered, wiping away a stray tear. But everything is so jumbled up right now. Suddenly, the ring of her phone shattered their fragile moment once more. It was relentless. Sophia stared at it, her face flitting between uncertainty and resignation. Are you going to answer that? Tom asked, a tiny flicker of resentment coursing through him. It could be important, or it could be another distraction. The silence stretched again, thick with tension. Tom could feel the moments slipping away, just when they were beginning to connect. Would this be the moment that determined their fate, or would this call pull them apart entirely? Sophia bit her lip, glancing between the phone and Tom, every second heavy with consequence. In that moment, something inside him shifted. He knew he couldn't let fear dictate their path, but he also didn't know if he could outrun it. With her hand poised to answer the call, both of their futures hung in the balance, and the sensation was suffocating. "Just tell me what you want," he finally said, desperation spilling over into hope. "Do you want to talk to him or do you want to talk to me?" The question lingered in the air. Would she choose to face her fears with him, or fall back into the familiarity of her past? The answer seemed just out of reach, and Tom felt the stakes rising. As she hesitated, Tom realized that their next move could redefine everything. And just like that, they stood at a crossroads, a breath away from a future that could change everything once again. What choice would she make? Sophia's breath hitched as she looked down at the phone, then back at Tom, who was silently urging her with his eyes. The weight of the moment crushed her chest. The prospect of revisiting the past shrouded her heart in fear. Inside, a battle raged, the fear of the unknown clashing against the flickering hope blooming every time she faced Tom. "I want to talk to you," she finally said, her voice quivering. "But I can't ignore Adam completely. He is my husband." After all, the words dripped with uncertainty, each syllable exposing her tangled emotions. Tom's expression shifted, disappointment threading through his features like shadows. "Then maybe we're doing this all wrong." He leaned back, arms crossing defensively. "You can't build something new while still tied to something old." That struck Sophia like a slap. "I know it's complicated. But I'm trying to untangle it. You have to believe that." Tom's gaze softened slightly as he processed her honesty. "I want to. I do. But how do we move forward when you're still looking back?" The truth echoed in Sophia's mind, and in that moment she understood the enormity of her predicament. Each unresolved word from Adam was a chain dragging her down. "What if I told you that I don't want things complicated anymore? That I want to choose us?" She searched his eyes for understanding, for hope. Tom shifted, the tension in the space barely holding. "Then you have to show me, Sophia. Show me that you're willing to step away from the past." A tear rolled down her cheek as she nodded. "I need to face Adam. Give him some closure. It's weighing on me." "But I swear," Tom reached forward, brushing a thumb across her cheek in an impulsive gesture. "You swear? Swear what? That after it's done, you'll turn to me? That you'll share this burden? That I'll choose you? No more hiding." The words felt heavy and light all at once, an unknowing promise born from a desperate heart. "I need you to be ready for whatever comes next then," he whispered, urgency creeping back into his voice. "If Adam is still a factor, he'll find a way to pull you back. He won't just let you go." Sophia took a deep breath, the honesty of his words carving deeper lines in her heart. "I know, but I can't keep drifting between two worlds. I have to commit to something real. To you." Suddenly, the phone rang again, cutting through the moment like a knife. Both their eyes darted toward it, an intruder in their vulnerable space. "Do you want to answer it?" Tom gave her a choice, but the tension flared in the air once again. She hesitated, fingers twitching over the screen. "What if it's important? It's been important every time it rings, hasn't it? What matters more to you right now, his call or what we just started?" Sophia closed her eyes. The weight of her indecision pressed against her chest. Adam would always represent what she was trying to escape. But did stepping up mean severing ties abruptly? With a shaky hand, she reached out to silence the phone before it could ring again. Tom watched her intently, the fire in his eyes igniting a flicker of courage within her. "What just happened?" he prompted, breaking the silence. I think I'm ready to stand up for what I want," she said, feeling the words strengthen with each utterance. "But I need a plan." Tom nodded, his expression shifting from hurt to determination. "Then let us make that plan together. Just know, if you falter, I'll be here. But you have to take the first step." As the tension shifted, there was hope blooming between them. Sophia felt lighter, unburdened yet still tethered to the storm brewing on the other end of the line. In that moment, she realized that love was indeed a choice, a messy, complicated choice she was willing to make, but it came with its own set of challenges to face. With her heart racing, she caught Tom's gaze, ready to embrace the uncertainty before them. But before they could plot their next moves, the ringing phone echoed again, loud and insistent, demanding attention. This time, would she answer the call for confrontation, or was she ready to pave it different? Future with Tom? The question hung heavily in the air, indicating that everything was about to change once more. Tom realized the room had become a battleground, the chatter between hope and despair swirling around him. It was just a phone call, but this one felt monumental, not just a ring but a heartbeat echoing through their conversation. He could sense Sophia's anxiety burning within her. Each ring amplified the decisions they faced, the uncharted futures they might carve out together, or apart. As the phone rang a final time, Sophia's gaze flickered toward it, an internal storm wrestling between the urgencies of her past and the potential of her present. "I have to silence this for good," she whispered, her voice shaking with uncertainty. "Then do it," Tom urged, holding his breath, willing her to take control of her fate. "This is your moment." With trembling hands, Sophia reached for the phone, drawing in a deep breath. The urge to press the button quivered in her fingers, and she closed her eyes, summoning strength from within. "I wouldn't let this define me anymore," she breathed, determination blooming in her heart. As she switched the phone off, relief washed over Tom, a fresh tide of hope rolling in. Maybe this was the first real step toward healing, the moment when she chose to stop letting fear dictate her life. "I'm here," he said gently, reaching across the table to clasp her hands. "We can face this together." Looking into Tom's eyes, Sophia felt waves of resolve crashing within her. "What do we do now?" she asked, vulnerability spilling from her voice. "We start our plan," he replied, a subtle smile forming as he envisioned a future filled with possibility. "What do you want for you? What do you want for us?" Sophia exhaled, her mind racing through the tangled mess that now felt lighter. "I need to meet with Adam. To explain my decision, to let him know it's over. And I want to reconnect with the path I once had, the art, the aspirations. I need to rediscover myself." The tentativeness in her voice gave way to a fierce conviction spinning in her heart. "And I want you to be a part of that. To help me as I step away from what has held me back." Tom nodded, a proud spark lighting his eyes. "I'll be right beside you. Every step of the way." With each exchange realistic and unfiltered, they crafted a new chapter together, their excitement cutting through the remnants of guilt and apprehension. Conversations turned into plans. Every idea sparked fresh hope. As they plotted their steps forward, Tom began to share his wish for their community, a vision for the center he wanted to build. Together, they sketched ideas, painted possibilities, and spoke dreams that had once faded into the background. By the end of their breakfast, a new energy had enveloped them. It felt like standing at dawn, the sun beginning to rise, coloring the world anew, the past no longer shackling them but propelling them toward freedom. "Are you ready for this?" Tom asked, searching her face as they left her apartment. Sophia smiled, brighter than she had in days, clinging to his arm. "With you, I finally feel ready." They both stepped into the world outside, where the soft light embraced them. The weight of unanswered questions lingered behind, but their laughter and courage filled the air around them. "Time for new beginnings," Tom said, squeezing her hand. The warmth of togetherness flowed like a current beneath their skin, reminding them that they were no longer alone in this fight. They had each other now, not just as lifelines but as partners in weaving their destinies, one colorful thread at a time. And it was there, in that vibrant moment, that Tom and Sophia felt the full spectrum of potential. They smiled excitedly, the shadows of uncertainty retreating as they set forth hand in hand toward truly transforming both themselves and their community. The road ahead, though fraught with challenges, held a promise, hope, adventure, and the joy of rediscovering life together. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this kind of transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Be a part of this journey and help spread the hope.